this time is for all time.
The NBA Finals, presented by YouTube TV, begins June 1st on ABC.
Hi, I'm Israel Gutierrez, host of the podcast ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, I'll bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. Today on ESPN Daily, 30 years ago, a 23-year-old office salesman named Don Calhoun made a three-quarters court shot for $1 million. But to get paid, he'd need an assist from an unlikely source, Michael Jordan himself. So follow us and listen wherever you get good podcasts.
Tuesday on Canty and Carlin, the Celtics are going home and the Heat are going to Denver. What does it mean long-term for Boston? And does Miami stand a chance? It's Tuesday, Canty and Carlin, 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and Sirius XM Channel 80.
B12 in the conference in the mouth, ball, Pac-12, Big Ten, Midwest. In the conference, your ACC.
All fight on. Weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and the SEC network.
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
I'm not going to lie. I kind of feel like I forgot how to do this radio thing. It's been a while.
When's the last time we had a show?
Was it last Wednesday? Last Wednesday, I believe.
Yes, because the Reds had a game on Thursday and Friday. So, yeah, Wednesday.
Well,
and we didn't have a show yesterday.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. It's
going up on a Tuesday.
But I hope everyone had a great weekend. I'm Justin Kinner. He's Kev Nash. Mr. Kev Nash, welcome.
What up, dog?
How was your long extended weekend?
It was great. I had a weekend. First time in a long time I had a full 3-day holiday weekend outside of, you know what I'm saying, like Christmas or Thanksgiving, anything like that. Had a great time. The weather was A1. Got outside and worked out a little bit, rode my bike a little bit. Barbecue just like everybody else and their mom. Got a couple drinks in my system. Watched some good basketball on Saturday. Watched the blowout yesterday. I'm sure we're going to talk about that. Just a great weekend. What about you?
Went and watched Mr. George Strait on Saturday night at the Shoe. How about that? I went to actually watch Chris Stapleton. Chris Stapleton killed it as usual. But George Strait, how old is? Let me look that. How old is George Strait, by the way? Like 40? I'm joking, folks. Relax.
I was going to say like 72.
I thought he's in his 70s. I figure he's pretty old. But the thing that's most impressive about George Strait, and he is, survey says, oh, nope, I guess you got to type in age afterwards. 71 years old. 71 years old. And like you go to these concerts now and you have to have all the bells and whistles. You have to have the fog machine. You have to have, everything. He stood up there, 71 years old, held a guitar in his hand. And maybe every once in a while would pace from one side of the stage. Now he doesn't have like high levels or anything. He's just sings and that controls 80,000 people at the Shoe. I was very impressed. The George Strait concert was pretty damn cool. But I went to go see Chris Stapleton. That's who I've always really wanted to see. He was awesome. But man, there was nothing like hearing that crowd erupt when George Strait walked out on the stage.
On that stage.
It was pretty cool. Pretty cool, nonetheless.
At the Shoe.
Then went boating in the gator-infested waters.
Oh, you went home,
Grand Lake St. Mary's, yes. At the old Salina, yes. I went. My best friend lives over in Salina, so we went boating over the weekend. But no one seems to be afraid of the gators that were released in Old Grand Lake St. Mary's. That's our non-sports story of the day right there.
Apparently, you're not afraid.
I didn't get in the water.
But, I mean, they're out there.
They are out there. So there was 2 that were released. They didn't really give a whole lot of details. 2 gators have been released. One has been found and shot and killed. The other one is still out there waiting to be shot and killed somewhere.
Getting ready to be turned into some boots.
But don't worry. They're like, Kinner, it's all right. They're only about 2.5 feet. I'm like, I'm 5 feet. That's half my height. Like that, I'm still probably outsized in that match. Like, you imagine?
The people that say they're only 2.5 feet have never been bitten by an alligator.
I mean, the bottom line is that's just not a. If that gator gets me, he don't have to eat for the rest of the year.
You remind me of my brother.
He will not have to. But no, great weekend. Went by like that. Watch Wright State punch their ticket back to the NCAA tournament again.
It's just what they do.
Yeah. So did that. I worked that tournament over. Yeah. So very busy weekend. Very busy.
Hectic.
Very busy.
Bouncing all over the place. I know we gave away tickets to Dave Matthews Band as well, man. I know Shaw got a chance to go down there. He said it was a pretty good show as well. So, yeah. Hit up the website. We got tickets. We got tickets for concerts. We got tickets for the Reds. websites. Where it's at?
WWE wrestling fans. SummerSlam's coming up. It's June tomorrow. No, June in 2 days.
Crazy.
And then that means SummerSlam will be 2 months away. I think that's like August 3rd or
August 5th. August 5th, Ford Field, Detroit.
What's wild is August 3rd is the Hall of Fame game. I know Kev has that circled on his schedule. You know,
man, all 4 quarters. The pregame, the postgame, the end game. Man, can't get enough of preseason football.
The pre, half, and post game, and what the hell is that name? And but it's football. That's all that matters. We're getting closer and closer. We got our high school football schedule put together. We haven't released that yet, but I'm pretty jacked about that. But we're rambling a lot to open up the show, but we got to catch up. I mean, Kev and I, we only talk at 3. It's in our contracts. We don't have to talk to each other until 3 o'clock hits. Kev made sure that was put in his contract at the very, very top. So we have to adhere to that. It's, legal obligations. David Shaw says, Dave Matthews was amazing Saturday. Thank you, fellas. So there's that.
Did it get a little wild on the lawn? I've heard those concerts get a little wild on the lawn.
I mean, the people watching at a Dave Matthews Band concert, it beats Walmart on its worst day.
No way.
Or best day. I don't know how you would word that. Walmart on its best day. Best day means on its worst day would mean the best day for people watching, right?
That is impossible.
But no, Dave Matthews Band, yeah. You see 60-year-old dudes wearing like the hippiest, dippiest shirts you could think of, barefoot, just high on life. High on life.
Life, eh?
High on life, but nonetheless. All right, we have a ton to catch up on, and that's why every Monday, even though it's Tuesday, it's our first day back after a break. Oh, by the way, tomorrow, live at Muirfield. That's where Kevin and I will be from the Memorial. We'll be doing the show live from Muirfield tomorrow. I'm pretty jacked about that. We got to be there bright and early. You got to go pick up our passes, got to get set up.
Get your coffee.
But Roy McElroy, he was doing some interviews today. Jack was there.
Nice.
So hoping to run into Jack tomorrow, but nonetheless, it's going to be a busy day. We're excited about that. But as we kick it off here today on a Tuesday, we're going to treat it like a Monday. We'll put the music in the background, of course. Headline or bullet point, or not? I'm sorry, headline.
I was about to say something else. I was going to have to get the dump button for.
I say bullet points, but it's in my notes. I have my bullet points that I was reading. Sorry. It's we've been off for 5 days. A little rusty. But headline or clickbait, basically news or not news. We go through these storylines and off we roll. Let's start in the association. Kev, headline or clickbait, news or not news. The Nurse replaces the Doc. Nick Nurse replaces Doc Rivers as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. Head coaches keep getting fired left and right, just like in other sports, but it feels like the NBA in the other sports, coaches are fired from bad teams.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA keeps firing good coaches. Like it's a weird thing that's happening right now, but I do like Nick Nurse, and I do like that he ends up in Philadelphia. I actually thought Doc would work there. We'll talk about Doc Rivers later, but Nick Nurse replacing Doc Rivers as the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. News, not news. Is this a headline, Kev, or clickbait? Doesn't matter.
This is a 1,000,000% a headline. Nick Nurse is the best coach out there available on the market. And another thing about why it's a headline is because he turned down the job with the Suns. He could have coached Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, but he chose to coach the Philadelphia 76ers. Plus, in limbo is the situation with James Harden as well. So he took that job because he believes that much in Joel Embiid. So this is a major headline.
Yeah, I mean, basically, that's how it was summed up today when I saw this. I think it's news because right now you have championship-level coaches on the free agent market after being released who could pick good teams. I mean, good teams have released their coaches. Milwaukee, have they hired anyone yet? I don't think
not yet.
I mean, who knows if that's where Monty Williams ends up, if that's where Doc ends up. I don't know what the situation in Boston is going to be. Obviously, they lost Game 7 last night. I know we got that coming up around the corner, but keep in mind, I don't know what the situation with their head coach is like.
Right.
I mean, he doesn't really work the room very well.
Oh man,
the interviews are just uncomfortable. I mean, I tune in for his post game and halftime interviews because it's one word and he's done. He's not paid by word. I'm paid to talk to you. I'm not paid by the word. Luckily,
giving Pop a run for his money.
Yes, but nonetheless, it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, I think this is news because it's basically been broken down to not what team he picked, but what star he picked. The NBA, you got to hitch your wagon to a star and hope that they take you to the promised land. And he picked Joel Embiid over Kevin Durant. That's almost basically what this comes down to at the end of the day. All right, next up on this, news or not news, headline or clickbait. How about this one? I'm fascinated by this. Chris Holtman has a new podcast.
Really?
This is really cool because we've started to get to the point where now we see pro athletes have podcasts. Like we're watching it with Draymond Green and some others, and I think it's pretty cool now. But in college, with college coaches, so Chris Holtmann has started a new podcast called More Than Coach Speak. Kev. His co-host is former Buckeye Terrence Dials.
Okay.
His first guest that was just the podcast that was just released today. His first guest is Ryan Day. News or not news? Is this a headline or clickbait? What say you?
You know why it's clickbait? Because he's not going to be on there answering the real tough questions. He's not going to be scouring through the Twitterverse and going back and forth at people or anything like that. This is just basically an extension of the old coaches radio shows. You know, Coach Day has his show. Both Wright State and UD basketball coaches have their own show where it's very, how do I say, scripted. Like they make sure they're not getting like, hey man, why isn't so-and-so playing more minutes? There are questions posed in a certain way that is almost softball questions for the coach. So this is clickbait because this is not a true podcast. Like if he was jumping on there talking about, hey man, what's going on in Serbia or politics, then I'd be like, whoa, this is a headline. A coach is really going out on a limb. But like this is just another avenue of him just talking with another former player and everything like that. This would be clickbait for me.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. I am curious. Like, it's easy if you're a college basketball coach to release a podcast in late May, heading into June. His first guest is Ryan Day, talking about just kind of what he looks for in recruiting. But what I want to know is, like back in January when they're in the middle of that losing streak, and he's on the hot seat, and people are calling for his job. Is he going to be, hey, Chris Holtmann here for the More Than Coach Speak podcast? Because that's how he talks. But I'll be at that point. That's major headlines to me if that's the case. But you're right. This might just be a little feel good thing. I can't tell if this is like if he partnered up with like an outlet or what. If this is just him using his resources. He's come on with us in the past before. He's actually been very open to like doing like the video interviews like through like Zoom and some stuff. And like he gets into that. Like he goes. When I've talked to him, he said these are a lot more fun to do than just the boring phone interviews or whatever. Like he at least gets to kind of, in the video form. So we'll see. And it's all in video form too. It's on YouTube.
This will be a great way for, for us as fans to get to know him better, like his personality and everything like that. Because when the podcast realm really first started to pop, I was like, man, these coaches need to be jumping on the pivots and things of that nature to get their personality out there, because all that stuff is used as a recruiting tool. But I just don't think Coach Holtmann is going to be, saying anything that's wild. I think he's going to basically be himself that he is in press conferences that we already know.
Yep. For a podcast that says More Than Coach Speak, it's pretty funny to me that it's going to be a lot of coach speak. So there's that. Kenner and Cav with you live here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Give us a call, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to call and jump in on the conversation. We'll get to your phone calls in just a moment. We are live on ESPN Dayton's Facebook page, the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page, and ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. You can chime in on the news or not news, headline, or clickbait. David Shaw says, holy man, clickbait. Clickbait is this podcast. Forrest says clickbait as well. As far as that's concerned. So you can weigh in the comment section as far as those are concerned. All right, next up, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, the Vikings' Justin Jefferson is aiming to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL on his next deal. Right now, the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL is Tyreek Hill at $31 million a year, or $30 million a year. So put him at that 31, 32 range. We're watching the quarterback market skyrocket, but we haven't, last year we saw the wide receiver room just explode. And that's where we're at right now. But news or not news, Kev, that the Vikings' Justin Jefferson is aiming to become the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL on his next deal.
Clickbait. We knew this already.
Yep.
He's, I don't know, wherever you want to place him. He's top 3, top 4. Top 2 wide receiver in the NFL. He's next up to bat. So he's about to be paid the highest.
This is major news because if you are a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, not hating here, but this does impact you guys. Like, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, you have T. Higgins. If Justin Jefferson, that's one thing if Tyreek Hill is like an outlier, kind of like Deshaun Watson right now is the outlier as far as how quarterbacks are paid, right? Wide receiver, we're waiting to find out if that Tyreek Hill deal is an outlier or not. Justin Jefferson, if he's the second receiver to get that $30 million a year, that's a big deal. DeAndre Hopkins, we're going to talk about him in a moment. He's not going to get that $30 million, but he's going to get in that mid-20s, all right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this is a big deal because if he gets that, you know, who knows what Jamar Chase is going to ask for when it's his turn a year from now to get paid. But I promise you, if Justin Jefferson gets 30 a year, what's stopping Jamar Chase from saying, well, if Tyreek Hill's getting 30 million a year, if Justin Jefferson's getting 30 million a year, I've helped my team. You know, our offense exploded the second they drafted me. We got to a Super Bowl my rookie year. Who's to say he's not worth 30 million? So keep an eye on this because I think that he can. I think Tyreek Hill kind of got the market to explode, but I think to establish it, I think another receiver needs to get that 30 million a year and get more than that. And I think that's what's about to happen. So I think that's news, especially. News or not news, moving on. And by the way, in the comment section, weigh in news, not news, headline or clickbait. Colorado has held serious talks with the Big 12, Kev. You're trying to utilize their leverage to leave the Pac-12. They want to join the Big 12.
Don't they all?
They are making this, public. News or not news that Colorado has held serious talks with the Big 12 about potentially leaving the Pac-12.
Not news because everybody's doing it. Washington's doing it. Oregon's doing it. Clemson, Florida State, Miami. Everybody that has been good at football, that has won the national championship, because Colorado was very good in the early 90s and did hoist a national championship trophy. All those schools are trying to find a home. So they're probably talking to the Big 10. They're probably talking to the Pac-12. They're talking to any and every, well, not Pac-12, but they're talking to the SEC. They're talking to anybody that will listen because they don't want to be left out without a seat to land on, basically. So this isn't news because the news would be, we're just going to stand pat. We're going to stay here. That would be news. Them trying to find a home is not news.
This would be a huge... And by the way, this is, I see what, because everyone's moving. I mean, Colorado going to the Big 12 is not, that's not, I don't think that's a major,
Big 12.
or back to the Big 12. I don't know if that's as big a splash as Texas going to the SEC.
No.
Or USC going to the Big 10. But what makes this Colorado potential move interesting is it's Deion's Colorado. We don't know what Deion's Colorado, we know what it sounds like.
Right.
We know what it could potentially look like, but we also know that it could be, I don't think there's going to be a middle ground with Deion in Colorado. They're either going to be Deion and great, or this is all going to blow up in his face. So it's a risk whoever takes on Colorado. I don't think you're out anything. You have more to gain than more to lose by bringing in Colorado.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big deal. But man, the Big 12. Let's say Colorado is, this next monster right now,
right,
with Deion there, and that could be huge because the Big 12 doesn't have that marquee face right now. They lost their two marquee names in Texas and Oklahoma. So if Colorado comes in and now they're regularly out recruiting or recruiting with the Alabamas and Ohio States and Georgias and LSUs, now that's big time for the Big 12. So this, I think it has potential to be big news because this would be bigger. Like the Big 10 they needed USC for dollars.
Right.
They didn't need USC for really too much else. The SEC didn't need Texas or Oklahoma, but it's big. The Big 12, if they're going to get Colorado, you need Colorado to be that powerhouse because who's your face of the conference right now? I don't think they necessarily have one.
Right.
So this could be big as far as that's concerned. Good programs there like Baylor and others, but who's the face of it? I think Colorado could potentially be that. So there is that.
Yeah, the thing about USC and UCLA joining the Big 10, the teams that are super happy outside of those two teams to be on safe ground, teams like Illinois, teams like Wisconsin, because that opens up the recruiting base. Ohio State's going to recruit wherever. Michigan's going to recruit wherever. But like when you start going out to those places and you build relationships with those schools and those coaches, that widens up your recruiting base as well. So those teams are super happy that they're coming in. For Colorado, I'm just not sure what type of high level football is played at the high school level in Colorado. But they definitely want to get back into playing those Texas schools again because they're fertile ground. So they can get a lot of recruits from there, from the high school ranks as well as the transfer portal.
All right, Kenner and Kev here, 1410 ESPN Radio, live with you here on a Tuesday. 518-1410. If you want to jump in on the phone lines, you could do so now. We've unlocked them. Give us a call. Or on Facebook, ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. Plenty of ways to interact with us. Go ahead there now if you want to comment on any of the things that we've just discussed. When we come back, ESPN Cleveland's Tony Grossi says that right now the buzz in the building is that Cleveland has just automatically become the front runners to land DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know what to make of that, but I do want to discuss it and what it potentially means, not just for Cleveland in 2023, but the AFC North, the AFC as a whole. And I'm here to tell you, as much as you guys might think I'm jacked about it, not as jacked about it as you would think. We'll talk about that when we come back. Kenner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast is calling for clear skies and 63 tonight. Sunshine 90 Wednesday. More the same on Thursday. Sunshine and a high of 90. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup features performance-matched attachments to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/offers for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff in store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
We see some patients who come in and they have been in just so much pain for so long that they are just deflated.
But that's about to change because QC Kinetics provides hope for relief using all new regenerative treatments that concentrate your body's own healing properties into aching hips, back, shoulders, and knees. And Dr. Zuckerman, a medical director at QC Kinetics, loves watching the patient transformations.
One of the most amazing things is when I get to see a patient who, after a few months of our treatments, is just a completely different person. They are smiling and happy, and the weight of the world is off their shoulders because we were able to take away their pain.
And that's with no drugs, no surgery, and no downtime.
It's just amazing to be able to change people's lives like that. It's very gratifying.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 937-936-0325. That's 937-936-0325. 937-936-0325.
As much as we say we love nature, when it comes to bugs, not so much. When it comes to trees, the Ohio chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture wants you to know that most insects are not harmful to trees, especially if their populations are small. There are exceptions to that, but don't forget, every insect has a predator that's just looking to make it a meal. So sometimes it's just good to let nature take care of itself. If you're concerned about insects on your trees, find an ISA-certified arborist near you at treesforohio.org. That's trees, the number 4, ohio.org.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Breaking a sweat over summer staffing needs? Indeed's powerful hiring platform helps you easily attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
All sports, all the time. This is 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kev Nash with you here. Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, live here on a Tuesday. All right, so I don't know what to make of this. Over the weekend, the Arizona Cardinals released DeAndre Hopkins.
D-Hop.
And for a while, with all the talk of DeAndre Hopkins being made available for trade, Cleveland Browns have always made a lot of sense just because the relationship with Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins back from their playing days with the Houston Texans. Now, DeAndre Hopkins, very, very good wide receiver. I mean, he's been fantastic. Kyler Murray, throughout all his, even with all his deficiencies, Hopkins made him look like a legit. I mean, he's one reason that helped Kyler Murray get paid what he did in Arizona. The guy could play. The guy could still play. How much longer can he play at the level of which we are hoping, if you are a Browns fan, to come in and be that guy? It would be the most Cleveland thing in the world to bring in DeAndre Hopkins with the expectations of what he was and then end up being the first year where you start to see the decline. And what the Browns cannot afford to do is they cannot afford, what was that Tate Martell line, don't swing and miss again, like that. It's a baseball. Now. But what the Browns cannot do, they can no longer, and Adam Selzner, I see you're calling in. I'm putting you on hold. You're good to go. He's good. He's on 2. What the Browns cannot afford to do is take any more chances. I'm all for being aggressive, but you cannot take chances. And here's what I mean by that. Deshaun Watson, I thought, was an aggressive move. Now it's the biggest chance that they've taken probably their whole existence since coming back, after leaving Cleveland the first time. If that Deshaun is who he was the last 6 weeks of last season, oh, man, they're in trouble.
Right.
They can't afford, Kev, to bring in a DeAndre Hopkins and have Hopkins declining while Watson's still trying to figure himself out. And you've pumped in, well, let's see, whether it be 50 mil a year, 46 mil, and then let's say you get Hop at 25. I mean, now we're talking about 70 mil and 2 players that are not performing the way that they're supposed to. That would be the most Browns thing ever, and I couldn't handle dealing with you. Our callers, the Bengals fans, I'd be using all my PTO pretty much every single day throughout the entire NFL season. But
you'll be using this.
Yes, the excuse spell every week. But according to ESPN Cleveland's Tony Grossi, there's growing optimism in the building that the Browns are emerging as the front runner to sign DeAndre Hopkins. And that's where we're at. Before this, it was the Chiefs and the Bills. And all AFC teams, I think that there's some NFC East teams that are in the mix too. Like, I still think Cowboys come out of nowhere and might surprise some people. We'll see what ends up happening. But Kev, DeAndre Hopkins, for one, just outright released, which I thought was odd. And then the amount, every team should be interested that needs a wide receiver, right? Cleveland has a deep wide receiving room, but they don't have, and as good as Amari Cooper is, they don't have this Hopkins type guy. But are you surprised at the teams that have lined up to potentially land his services? Teams like the Buffalo Bills, who have Stephon Diggs, the defending reigning Super Bowl champs with Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, who they moved on from Juju, who they have, who's their number 1 receiver now? Drawing a blank. It's not a bad receiver, but it's not an elite level one. No Hopkins, by the way.
Tony from the Giants from Florida. Played one season with the Giants.
Zadarius Toney or whatever his name is. I think I'm getting his name wrong still. But yes, they took a chance on him last year. Got him. Very solid. So
got a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
With all that being said, the three teams that are the favorite to land him, Kev, the Browns, the Chiefs, and the Bills. Your thoughts are what?
D-Hop will be 31 in a couple days. My whole thing about D-Hop, how much? How much is it going to cost me? Because you mentioned $25 million. I don't think he's going to get $25 million. Maybe 12? Maybe 12? If I can get D-Hop for 12, I'll do it. Especially if I am the Buffalo Bills or Kansas City or the Browns. I would do it for like $12 million. 25, there's no way. There's absolutely no way I would pay that much money for DeAndre Hopkins at this stage of his career.
But someone will. Somebody will. Oh, so you're saying you don't think anybody will?
I don't think anybody's going to pay 25.
I think the reason that a team will, and it could be a desperate team like Cleveland, who I've defended. I'm still okay with the Watson move. You got to get the quarterback. But if Watson is who you think, you don't need Hopkins. But at the same time, look at all the teams that are serious content. Like Amari Cooper's your number one playmaker in the passing game. That's good. You could have worse options, but the Super Bowl contenders all have elite. I mean, A.J. Brown with the Eagles, Travis Kelce with the Chiefs, obviously Jamar Chase and T. Higgins with the Cincinnati Bengals, Stephon Diggs with the Bills. Like all the Super Bowl contenders, it's not a surprise to me that last year the wide receiver market exploded the way it did. It's because, oh man, it's not a coincidence that all the Super Bowl contenders have elite pass catchers or elite playmakers. Cleveland has a very, very good wide receiving room. I don't know if it's good enough for them to win the whole damn thing, because it's not like this is what led to our conversation about the Chiefs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they have very good wide receivers, but they don't have that elite tight end. I know they paid him a lot of money, but I don't think Njoku is this elite tight end that's going to be that difference maker. So we'll see what ends up happening. But I do think a team will be desperate enough to pay him that money because, again, look at all the contenders around the league. I don't know if it'll be Cleveland that does it. If you do it, you have to move on from Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then you're able to tough out Amari Cooper. If you do that, if I'm Cleveland, if they do go that route, I think you'd get Hopkins. You don't move on from Cooper. You keep Cooper. And for 1 year, you go all in. You can't keep Nick Chubb next year anyway. So if you're going to go all in. Have really good offensive line. You have Nick Chubb. You have DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper. And I like this Tillman kid they drafted. And you have Elijah Moore. And you have Donovan Peoples-Jones could end up being the odd man out. The problem is Donovan Peoples-Jones represents a long-term wide receiver as opposed to a rental wide receiver for 1 to 2 years in Hopkins. So, but Cleveland, you're never going to have more of a talented roster than you do now because moving forward, it's the exit stage. You're going to be moving on from pieces. I think if you're going to do it, you go all in, and we'll see what ends up happening as far as that's concerned.
If the Browns sign DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think they'll be the best wide receiver core in the NFL by any means, but I think they'll be the most physical. I mean, you look at the size and stature of DeAndre Hopkins. He's never been a burner. He's been a physical wide receiver, go across the middle, make those tough contested catches, those jump balls for Hail Marys, for touchdowns, for victories. Remember the one he had with Kyler and those guys like 2 years ago. And then you have Amari Cooper, who's also not a burner. He can get downfield, but like he's more of a physical wide receiver. So, the brand of football that they would play, with Nick Chubb, with two physical wide receivers, they'll beat you up. And ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, the Browns do not have the best receiving core in the AFC North. If they get DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper is your second best wide receiver, guess what, Bengals fans? The Browns still don't have a better wide receiving core than you, so relax. I wasn't going there. You may not like this, though, and you may not like. I think the Browns have the deepest wide receiver room. I don't think they have the best. I think they have the deepest. When you're talking about, you still have you have Goodwin, Tillman, and Elijah Moore as your 3, 4, 5, and 6. I mean, like, that's a lot of depth. Like, I think they have more depth than the Bengals. I think they have more depth than the Steelers, definitely have more depth than the Ravens. They're not the most talented. They already have the most depth. That's why I think they could afford to go after Hopkins, because you can give up one of them guys. I know you just got Elijah Moore. You just got Goodwin. I think DPJ is who they move on from, because he's going to be about a $15 million a year guy.
But he's the one that has value.
Yeah.
Because Elijah Moore, he was about to get cut from the Jets before he got traded to the Browns. So if they actually do have to move on from somebody, it would be Donovan Peoples-Jones, because he's the one with value, and they got him in the 7th round. So he would be a lot easier to move, and people would want him because like they're not paying him anything if they make a trade for him. So yeah, he would be the most coveted.
I talked with Jack Duffin a little bit ago, the Orange and Brown Report. He's going to come on later in the week, but he sent this out on Twitter a little bit ago. Here's how DeAndre Hopkins fits in with the Cleveland Browns. Hopkins for $25 million over 2 years. So for $25 million for 2 years.
Okay.
He said depends on how much he wants, but $25 million a year for 2 years.
Oh,
so like a short, whatever. But he goes depends on how much he wants. So to do this, you would have to trade DPJ for about a 24 fourth round pick. You would move on from Cooper after next off season anyways. And then you just reestablish. That's the thing. A lot of this is going to be lose a guy, replace him. They're always going to have money that they can restructure and gamble and play around with. They're just not going to be able to do the signing receivers long-term thing. That's going to be a revolving door. While the Bengals are going to be set on their receiving core moving forward, the other teams in the AFC North are going to be a revolving door. But while the Bengals have a consistent receiving core, Kev, they're going to have they'll have another key position group that's a rotator. Maybe it's their running backs. Maybe it's their offensive line. Maybe it's their defensive pass rushers. Maybe it's their safeties. You know what I mean? So it's not as if, the Bengals figured out a way to keep they kept their wide receivers at the expense of someone else. The Browns are going to move on from wide receivers at the expense of keeping this guy or moving on from that guy and so on and so on. I'm not a fan of it, though, just to be clear. If it happens, it's going to be exciting. Will Cooper and D-Hop be better than Jamar Chase and T. Higgins? No. But if you think the gap is so wide that all of a sudden, it's not that wide. It's not. It would not be that wide at all, actually. So it is what it is. You guys can have that win. That's okay. I ain't losing sleep over it. But the bottom line is I don't think they need to make this move. You paid him $53 million a year, guaranteed, or $53 guaranteed a year. He's supposed to make other guys better to where you could invest in the other aspects of the team to remain competitive defensively, offensively. I just don't know if this makes sense. But at the same time, if you're going to do it short-term, 2-year deal, hit the ground running, boom, I guess I'm fine with it. We'll see. It's not happened, hasn't happened. I still don't think he ends up in Cleveland. I just don't. I know they're saying he's the front runner, but I don't. You've been aggressive, Cleveland. Call it a summer. Just get this team ready to play. I think this is just more distractions. Hopkins and others, Watson and others asked about it at camp today. So, of course, that's what led to a lot of the chatter and stuff. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I'll say this for Hop. If the Cleveland Browns are the highest bidder, you go there because not only are they the highest bidder, they're a pretty good team on paper already. So it's kind of like a win-win situation. You could go to the Kansas City Chiefs and play with Patrick Mahomes and everything like that. And I'm sure that would be great for a wide receiver. But I'm not sure that they're going to be coughing over $25 million for you, though. I don't think they're going to do that because, they still got to re-sign Chris Jones, the defensive tackle. They still got to re-sign the safety. So they got some guys that they need to re-sign over there. So I'm not sure if they're going to be willing to give you that type of money. Obviously, you'll be a Super Bowl contender playing with that team, but you could get your money and play with a Super Bowl contender and play with a guy that you not only play with in college, and in the NFL. Probably going to end up with the Browns, especially if they offering them that $25 million a year.
And by the way, and the Browns would be labeled as desperate to do that because you're right. The Bills aren't going to do it. The Chiefs aren't going to give him $25 million a year. He would have to take a significant pay cut to go there or go on a 1-year deal. I could see
the good old prove it deal.
I could see a team doing a prove it deal with him, a 25, like Cleveland does $25 million 1-year prove it deal. Okay, fine. It's a win-win for them, but yeah, we'll see what ends. 518-1410. Thoughts on this? Let's go to Adam. Adam, thanks for holding, sir. How are you?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call. Guys, I've kind of touched all the bases I was going to ask you about. I guess get both of your opinions because I don't like you guys said. I don't think DeAndre is worth $25 million, but if the Browns give him a 1-year contract, I feel like that's the best case scenario for the Browns at this point. Like you, Kev, you said it like a prove it deal. Like, okay, you want your money? All right, for 1 year, like prove it to me, and then we'll talk after that. I don't know. I feel like that might be the best option for the Browns when I was listening to you guys talk there. Instead of because second part to that, is he worth now at his age? Is he worth more than $18 million that Odell's getting with Baltimore? I guess if you guys can answer both of those real quick.
And Adam, real quick. So Matthew Hedrick on YouTube, so maybe I misunderstood Jack, but Matthew Hedrick is saying that Jack said it would be 25 for 2 years, so around 12.5 a year. Well, then that's easy. Then that's a no-brainer if you're Cleveland.
That's what I thought it meant.
So but maybe I misunderstood. I just looked at Hop as he wanted big money, and I didn't look at 12.5 as big money as far as what he was wanting. But he has to make a decision. And by the way, if he's going to accept 12.5 mil, as much as I would love him in Cleveland for 12.5, you don't go play for the Cleveland. If you're DeAndre Hopkins, you don't go play for the Cleveland Browns for 12.5 mil. You go play for the Chiefs. You go win a Super Bowl. You go do that. You know what I mean? You go play for the Dallas Cowboys, which that technically does not win you a Super Bowl. I like both my teams are similar, Adam, but nonetheless. But no, if that's if it is 12.5 a year, that's interesting nonetheless.
Okay, well, and spin off on that, would you have Odell and then you have DeAndre, both what they have going on right now. Who do you pay more? Do you pay Odell? Well, you already know Odell's getting 18, so is DeAndre worth more, or at least 18 to Odell? I guess he has to look at that a certain way.
Do you
pay him more than Odell for save states for 1 year? Do you pay him more than Odell for 1 year?
I say that D-Hop has more tread left on his tires. So in theory, he should make more money than Odell, but every contract and every player and every situation, every team is totally different. So like when I heard the Ravens talk, I was like, there's no way he ends up with the Ravens. Like they've already stacked their wide receiver room already. There's no way that he's going to end up there. So the first two places that came to mind will be the Cleveland Browns and the Dallas Cowboys for me. And then I started hearing all that news about Kansas City. But I mean, 20 mil for one season for a 31-year-old wide receiver. We saw what happened with AJ Green. We saw what happened with Julio Jones. Once they started 31, their toes fell off. They couldn't run anymore.
It's a gamble. That's why I'm like, if you're the Chiefs, you could gamble. You know why? You could win a Super Bowl without DeAndre. Let's say DeAndre Hopkins comes in and he's lost his step. Well, that's fine. You're Patrick Mahomes. You got Travis Kelce. You don't have, like, you won it last year without relying on a true number one wide receiver. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you're bringing him in to lead you to a Super Bowl. That's bad if you bring him in and you're relying everything on him. I think that's why the Bills could pull it off too, because you're a very, very good team with Stephon Diggs. Will you be elite if you have Stephon Diggs and Hopkins? Oh, yeah. But if Hopkins comes in and has lost a step, you still have Stephon Diggs. Cleveland still has Amari Cooper, but Amari Cooper, as much as I love him, is not Stephon Diggs. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not Devontae Adams. He is not one of those guys. And I think that's what makes Hopkins so alluring is the potential of bringing him in. If Amari Cooper is your second best wide receiver, nothing is better than what the Bengals have in Jamar and T. But, man, I still think that combo, if Hop is still Hop and Cooper's your second best wide receiver, I think that's a pretty good deal for Cleveland. But I still don't think he ends up in Cleveland. I'm not going to go there yet. And usually I talk those things into his existence. I can't go there yet.
So real quick, I know we got to go over break, but real quick, look at AJ Green. The age of 30, played 9 games, 694 yards with the Cincinnati Bengals. Missed the entire 19 season, the year he would have turned 31. The year he turned 31, then he turned 32 with the Bengals. Played in 14 games, 523 yards. The following season, 33 years old, 884 yards with the Cardinals. Played in 9 games. That's pretty good productivity. Then last year, his last season in the NFL, played in 15 games and 236 yards. So then you look at Julio Jones at the age of 30. He had 99 receptions, 1,300 yards receiving. Turned 31, 717 yards. 32, 443 yards. 33, 300 yards.
Yeah, I'm good. Go play with the Jets.
So, like, we talk about running backs and, once they hit a certain age, they're no good anymore. It's the same way for wide receivers, man. Like once they basically hit 31 and they start getting those ankle and those toe injuries, it's a wrap. They don't have the explosiveness anymore. They can't create separation like that anymore. So it's just kind of like one of those things.
DeAndre, so he missed games last year because of a suspension.
Right.
Did he miss any because of injury last year?
I don't believe so. How many games did they say? Because I'm not looking at that. I'm just looking at
pulling it up now just to see.
But I believe he was suspended for like 10 games, right?
I thought it was only 4. I thought he just missed the first month of the season. Then by the time he came back, maybe it was longer.
I thought it was
either
longer.
way. But he only played 9 games last year. So there's that. He played in 9 games. last year, as we talked about, 700 yards, as you talked about. So we'll see. If he ends up in Cleveland, great, fantastic, super. But I'm not like saying, oh my God, they need him. I think Cleveland's a very, very good football team without him. I think he has the potential to take him to that next level if he still has hop left in the tank as far as that goes. All right, 518-1410. Bengals fans, Browns fans, Ravens fans, Steelers fans, football fans. DeAndre Hopkins, where does he end up? I think he'd be, as much as I would love him on the Browns, let's be clear. If he gets to pick, why would you not go play with Patrick Mahomes? Why would you not go play with Patrick Mahomes? Especially because you don't have to split targets with anyone. Kadarius Toney, by the way.
There you go.
Kadarius Toney is a very good wide receiver. He ain't Hopkins. Even if Hopkins does regress, Kev, I still think he's better than Kadarius Toney. So you're still going to get a lot of targets. You're going to get a lot of looks. I think that makes a lot of sense. If I'm him, I want to play with Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen before I want to go take a chance with Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun in those 6 games, Kev, picked up where he left off, I'd be like, okay, go to Cleveland, play with Deshaun. But DeAndre, you can't bet on him, and he can't bet on you. Like, you got to bet on sure things right now at this stage in both of their careers as they're both trying to prove themselves. So we'll see what happens. But 518-1410, Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Make sure that your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning. They're offering special saving opportunities on a new Lennox system. So call them today at 937-222-8638 or visit online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com to learn more. Dealer license number, Ohio license number 14911.
Bring that big bet energy this summer with Superbook Sports. Bo Bishop here, and Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in sports betting. And right now, use the promo code ColumbusFan to score up to $250 with their first bet bonus. Win or lose, they will match your first bet up to $250 with the promo code ColumbusFan. Simply visit Superbook.com for terms and conditions or download the Superbook Ohio app in the App Store today. Enter the promo code ColumbusFan and you'll get $250 courtesy of Superbook Sports. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler.
I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit-on-the-go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Go, Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
Your daily commute. You could do it alone. The downside is spending thousands each year on gas, parking, and vehicle maintenance, not to mention the air pollution you're causing. There is a smarter way. Introducing GoHio Commute. What is GoHio Commute? It's a free service with info on commuting options like ride matching for carpoolers, van poolers, and bike poolers, and links to local public transit providers. Go to MiamiValleyRideshare.org or call 223-SAVE for details. GoHio Commute, a smarter way.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. Excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply today. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Driven to succeed.
Soccer fans, stand up. Your Dayton Dutch Lions FC are ready to take the field at DOC Stadium in West Carrollton. Bring all your family and friends to experience great soccer in our own backyard with 10 home games starting May 31st. This season promises non-stop excitement, so grab your jerseys and head over to ddlfc.com to secure your tickets and very affordable season passes now. Don't miss out on the action. Visit ddlfc.com for updates, schedules, and exclusive offers. Be there and let's roar together. If you haven't been to Chevrolet of Troy, you have to stop in today. Selection has never been better with over 300 new and pre-owned vehicles available, in stock and ready to go. It's the best in the region. We always accept employee and supplier pricing, and we make financing easy. Customer service is our top priority because we care about you. With thousands off MSRP, a full-service, state-of-the-art dealership, and huge selection, make Chevrolet of Troy your first choice. 1375 South Market Street and online at ChevroletofTroy.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
Imagine you're looking at a balancing scale with everything you do for other people on one side and everything you do for yourself on the other side. If it isn't balanced, maybe it's time to spend a little more time on you. And therapy is a great place to start. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist online who can help you find that balance and stick to it. Visit BetterHelp.com/score to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/score.
You could throw your flip-flop at a bug.
Ew, a bug, get it.
But the chances of actually hitting it
Over there.
are statistically
It's still alive.
unlikely. Good thing nature's got your back. Stem bug killers combine powerful active ingredients found in plants, like lemongrass and geraniol, and scientifically engineer them into effective bug-fighting formulas, safe for use as directed around people, pets, and throughout the home. Stem, rooted in nature, optimized by science.
We're recording this Progressive commercial on a real boat to let people know that when you bundle your home, boat, and other vehicles...
What was that, Flo?
Progressive saves you money, Jamie.
Why are we doing this on a boat?
We were going for authenticity.
We're going to the city?
Authenticity.
You mean Atlantic City? But we're not in the Atlantic. Are we?
Bundle your home and other vehicles with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discount not available in all states or situations.
Speedway is here for you. Hot coffee is fresh or it's free. Offer good through 12/31/23. Visit participating store where coffee was purchased for details.
Hey, it's Max Kellerman, and you're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 WINGAM. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Fire Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Kenner and Cav back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM, 518-1410, 518-1410. That's the number to jump in on the conversation. Some of the stuff coming in, Cav, on the Facebook feed and YouTube. There's a guy named Eddie Spaghetti, by the way, on YouTube. Hey, Eddie Spaghetti, if you keep it up, people are going to think it's my burner account, but,
like the referee.
Yeah. So, but Eddie Spaghetti, oh, yeah, I forgot about that. We'll get to that. Eddie Spaghetti says, I think the Browns should definitely go get D-Hop and will. Peoples-Jones is a decent, wide receiver too, but he's not really expected to get a new contract, so may as well move on from him a year early. Well, Eddie, I disagree with that from this standpoint. I thought what the plan would be if they weren't aggressive and going after D-Hop would be one more year with Amari Cooper, move on from Amari next offseason one way or the other, and then D-Hop, I'm sorry. Now you have Donovan Peoples-Jones as your primary target. Say what you will about D-Hop. Man, I'm all over the place today. Say what you will about Deshaun in the start to the 6 games. The one guy he had the most chemistry with was Donovan Peoples-Jones. Like those two really kind of had a good connection there. So it's a gamble. Everything about D-Hop is a gamble for the Browns. I still don't think he ends up there, but Eddie Spaghetti, if you were right, my friend, I'm fine with that.
DPJ career high in receptions, 61 career high in yards receiving, 839, tied for a career high with 3 touchdown receptions. So yeah, he had a solid season. I just don't know. You need somebody with speed. And he's that guy that has the speed out of those 3 if they were to bring in DeAndre Hopkins. I just wouldn't. And he's a big receiver too. So, like, I talked about the physicality of Amari Cooper, and if they get DeAndre Hopkins, he's another physical receiver. I wouldn't be so keen on letting him walk.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I know they just traded for Elijah Moore and everything like that, but he's like 5'10".
So, yeah, in essence, if you do move on from him, you traded Peoples-Jones for like you got Elijah Moore to be Peoples-Jones.
Right.
I like Elijah Moore. I think he's going to be very good. I don't know. I think the upside, the ceiling for DPJ is higher. But,
yes.
But it is what it is. So we'll nonetheless. Continuing down this, Josh Nichols on Facebook. It's been a while. Just wanted to say, who day? Eddie says, I bet Baltimore does regret that one for sure, the signing of OBJ. I don't think they regret signing OBJ. I do think they are kicking themselves with that $18 million for OBJ, or as I like to call him, old BJ.
I'm not touching that.
Odell Beckham. That sounds a little bit more, that did sound kind of weird. Yeah, it did, didn't it? That sounded differently in my head. That when I played that through my head, it went a little different, but Odell. How about Odell instead of the other one?
There you go. There you go. Sounds much better.
All right. Odell Beckham Jr. Anyways. If they, and that's the thing too, if the Ravens don't have enough money to get D-Hop because they gave $18 million to Odell, that I'm sure is a kicker for them. There's that.
Grow up, Kevin.
Real mature. It's like watching NBA on TNT. And
oh, goodness.
That stuff's gold, dude. Shaq and Ernie and Kenny and those guys.
Man. They was doing the Boston accents last night, doing the chowder and everything like that. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Oh, man. But last thing here on the Browns, I'm not trying to give you guys too much Brown stuff, but this was a big deal. The Hopkins where he ends up. And just to be clear, to cover my ass with you guys, because you guys think I like to force the Browns talk down your throat, but Tony Grossi out of ESPN Cleveland made headlines just about an hour ago when he talked about there's growing optimism in the building that the Browns are now emerging as the front runner to land DeAndre Hopkins. A lot of that had to do with the chatter of camp earlier with everything going on, and Deshaun was asked about it, and Deshaun said, "Yeah, we've been in talk. We both talked. He wants, I want him here." He did say he talked to Andrew Berry, and that kind of got the wheels going. But guess what? Any camp out there that's being asked about it, they're going to say things too that lead to momentum going in that direction. But last thing here on Deshaun Watson, Kev, he was asked about his goals and ambitions to get back to who he was as a quarterback back when he was with the Houston Texans. An interesting take here from Deshaun Watson when asked about returning to his old self back when he was in Houston and the expectations for him heading into this season.
I'm very motivated. I'm very excited to be able to have those opportunities to go out there and prove what I have before and even better. And that's the goal, is to be better than what people last saw me. And honestly, people are entitled to their own opinions, but at the same time, you gotta respect their opinions. I missed 2 years of football, so if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't put myself in that position either. I got to go out there and prove it, and that's what I'm looking forward to. So those opportunities for me this upcoming season, I have to take advantage of it.
It's a rush. Good answer. I was waiting for him to say, like, the fact that he said, hey, basically, for all of you who are doubting me after what I look like in them 6 games and being off for 2 years, like, yes, that is part of it, but hey, there's nothing, he deserves all of the criticism is basically what he's saying. No excuses being made. I thought at first, the way I heard it, I thought what he was saying originally was, hey, I've been out for 2 years. Give me a break. that's not what he was saying. Because
Right.
at first I was like, oh, Kev's gonna be ringing the hell out of that excuse bell. But he's basically saying, hey, all the criticism is fair, and it's his job to go out there and to quiet all the critics. So we'll see what happens. But I like the take from old Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson always says the right things when he's talking about football. Always says the right things. Whenever he was questioned about his leadership at Clemson, he said the right things. Well, when they ultimately had that ugly loss to Pitt, I want to say his junior year, the year that they won the national championship at Clemson, he said the right things. Said the right things in the interview process. Says all the right things when the Texans were losing games. Said the right things when they were winning games. Said the right things when he was putting up the best career numbers and they were still losing games. And in this case, he talked about how he played last season. He said exactly what you want to hear your franchise quarterback say. Now he just has to go back out there and prove that he is that player that he was in 2020 and 2019.
Kenner and Cav 1410 Wing AM. Steve Stetler on Facebook says D-Hop is an improvement for sure. Just don't know that he'd be worth it as far as that's concerned. So, yes, I think that's the thing. Damon Hahn, he goes, he played 9 games and had Kyler Murray, who's garbage, he said, and Kyler Murray's backup, who's also garbage.
Colt
him the
McCoy.
ball. I think he still has 2 to 3 good years left. We'll see.
We'll see.
Kenner Cav 1410 Wing AM.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is everything.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering professional-grade industrial supplies, plus real-time product availability and access to experts ready to answer your toughest questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates, it's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
This is the sound of a popular American motorcycle. It's the sound of freedom, the open road, really good times. And this is what it sounds like with a drunk guy in it. How do you like the sound of that? Cops are cracking down on drunk motorcycle riders. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested. Drunk riding. Over the limit, under arrest. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Transportation.
The Dell Technologies Summer Sale event is on, with savings on select Vostro and Latitude PCs with Windows 11 Pro. Dell Technologies recommends Windows 11 Pro for business. Call 877-ASK-DELL.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. Weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Can't believe it's already the end of May. It's going to be June here in 2 days. It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. In fact, so let's see. When is June 3rd?
It's
When
a
is
Saturday.
June 3rd? Saturday. So 2 months from Saturday, football's back. Hall of Fame game, baby. Football's football in my book. We'll debate that for the rest of the summer, I'm sure. Especially as we get closer. The Cleveland Browns will beat the Jets in the Hall of Fame game. You heard it here first.
You know what Thursday is, though?
What?
You know what Thursday is?
What's Thursday?
June 1st.
Oh, the NBA Finals.
Oh, that too. No, list season. List season begins June 1st.
Yes, and list season, we might start it a day or two early. We might debut list season tomorrow at the Memorial.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm ready. I've been working on my list all season long to be prepared for list season. So I'll be ready. I'll be ready with my top 10. I'll be ready with my top 10 wide receivers, quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, corners, rush ins, D tackles. I'm ready for all types of list season.
Well, speaking of lists,
let's do it.
Everyone loves talking lists. And there's always two names that get brought up in the list, and I don't want to go towards this, but we're going to go towards it anyway. Okay. All right. But Scottie Pippen. Oh, God. Scottie Pippen. Now, this is an angry dude. And it stinks because I'm a fan of Scottie Pippen. And, he's just getting beat up in the media right now because he had a very hot take. Like, I make a living off hot takes. Like, this take is hot. Scottie Pippen, did you know that Michael Jordan was a horrible basketball player?
LeBron will be the greatest statistical guy to ever play the game of basketball. And there's no comparison to him. None. So does that make him the greatest player to ever play the game? I'll leave that out for debating because I don't believe that there's a great player because our game is a team game and one player can't do it. Like I seen Michael Jordan play before I came to play with the Bulls. You guys seen him play. He's a horrible player. He was horrible to play with. He was all one-on-one. He's shooting bad shots. And all of a sudden, we become a team and we start winning. Everybody forgot who he was.
So the wild thing is there's actually good points that are made in there, but the verbiage of how he displayed it, that's why no one's going to take him serious. He could have that opinion.
Yeah,
LeBron is better than MJ and all this stuff. He could have the opinion that he was a bad team. Look. No one ever said, of all the accolades of Michael Jordan, no one's ever said top 10 teammate of all time. He's number one teammate of all time. No one ever said that. And I guarantee you, I agree with Scott. He probably was very hard to play with. Kobe was hard to play with. James Harden, like ball dominant, and I'm not putting James Harden in the same category as those two, but like ball dominant guards are hard to play with.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows that, and he could have worded it different, but he wanted to make sure it was known that Michael Jordan was hard to play with. And I get it. And as a LeBron guy, I love when these points get brought up because I can play this Kev and say, see, Scotty's right. Scotty brings up a lot of good points. MJ was very hard to play with, and MJ did not experience, and I agree with him on like this aura of Michael, like his failures never get held against him the way that others do. And I'll leave it at that. But the point is that this isn't what this is about. Like if this, like the reason I'm not getting into the LBJ Michael Jordan conversation with this is because although it was about it, this is not about it. Like there is a lot. He is salty. You can make the world's biggest margarita with all the salt from Scottie Pippen right now, Kev. He brings up good points. He's not wrong on some of this stuff, but the way he says it, how he goes about it, and we know this from where it's coming from. That's why no one's taking him serious with any of this. So it's like it's all a moot point at this point because no one's listening to what you're saying. Jay Will said it best this morning. He's bringing up some valid points, but we all know this isn't coming from – he's making it about LeBron versus Michael, but we all know this is not about LeBron versus Michael.
At all. This is – look, man, it's as simple as this, man. Michael Jordan's son, almost thought it was on
Just
Hot 102.
do it.
Michael Jordan.
Remember, this isn't the. Never mind.
Michael Jordan's son is in a relationship with his ex-wife. That's the fact. He doesn't like how he was portrayed in the Last Dance documentary. All this is, I won't say calculated, but he's upset. And the part about LeBron James being the best stat player ever is not debatable. That he's going to go down as the best guy stat-wise, no doubt about it. But the thing is, it's not about that. He's trying to make it sound like that, but we know what this is about. And if you actually thought that LeBron James was better, just go ahead and say it. But to say Michael Jordan was a horrible player, taking bad shots, Michael Jordan shot over 52% before you showed up. So if they are bad shots, he was making them. So a bad shot for him ain't a bad shot for another guy. You know what I'm saying? So just like, okay, a Steph Curry half-court shot is not the same as a Draymond Green half-court shot. Bad shots for one guy don't mean they're a bad shot for everybody. And the whole thing is, look, man, the year before Scottie Pippen was drafted, Michael Jordan averaged 38 points a game on, I believe it was 49% shooting, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. So, like, if we're playing the whole stat game, whatever, we can look at those stats and clearly see, like, oh, wow, this dude was dominant. He's won all MVPs before you showed up. And stats about you as a player without Michael Jordan and things of that nature. So this isn't about that. This is about, hey, man, I got a bone to pick, and I'm going out there, and I'm going to just keep saying these things because you know why? When I say these things, I get my face out there. And I'm going to keep saying this because there's plenty of audio before The Last Dance and before all this stuff happened between his ex-wife and Jordan's son that he was saying Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. Now, all of a sudden, all this stuff happens. Nah, he ain't. He wasn't no good. He was a terrible basketball player. Look, man, you can have an opinion about Michael Jordan as a guy. I don't know him as a guy, but everything that I've ever seen about Michael Jordan, I wouldn't want to play with him. But a horrible basketball player, we're not gonna play those games. Even the biggest LeBron and Kobe or Kareem fans never gonna say that Michael Jordan was a horrible basketball player. So him saying that right there just basically shows you where he is. And to be perfectly honest, it's sad to be perfectly honest, man, because you're trying to, use LeBron as a pawn in this situation, as opposed to just simply propping up LeBron. If you truly think LeBron is a better basketball player, you wouldn't be saying outlandish things as he's a terrible basketball player. It's a team game. I'll let that be up for debate. But LeBron James is the best basketball player of all time. It makes absolutely no sense.
The match, for golf, I want Scottie Pippen and LeBron James out on the course against MJ and Magic Johnson. How cool would that be? I mean, my goodness. But yeah, like that's the thing. And like his point, if he worded it different, just been say, hey, it took a long time for Michael to learn how to play true team basketball, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. You're not going to get as much heat for that. But that's what he meant when he said he was not a good basketball player. But he said he's not a good basketball player on purpose to get this reaction. It's a passive-aggressive comment that he could put the palms in the air and say, what? Well, I mean, my point is that blah, 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 blah. Well, it is what it is. But I listened to that clip, and you could dissect it. But the bottom line is I'm not getting caught up in the LeBron versus MJ thing because I love doing that. But I'm not going to be sucked into it through this comment because, as we just talked about, these comments have nothing to do with that. Pippen's not like really trying to die on the hill of LeBron is better. He's dying on the hill of I'm not going to give credit to Michael Jordan because he's sick and tired of all the credit going to Michael Jordan. He's tired of it. That documentary was that thing that kind of pushed him over the edge. And the documentary wasn't that bad until like that last couple episodes, like when he walked off the court and all that stuff and didn't get the last shot and he was pissed off, like depicting him that way. Because I thought it depicted him very well. I mean, the way, taking care of his family. That's why he did sign that horrible contract to begin with. Like it depicted him as the victim at first of being bullied by the organization. But then by the end, it did make him look a little sus. But guess what? You made yourself look like that because if any player today pulled I want the last shot, and if I don't get it, you may be right. I get why Pippen wanted that. But the way he went about it is that's a bad teammate. You want to talk about being a bad teammate. Those actions right there classify him as a bad teammate. I'm all about the LBJ Michael debate. I always lean LBJ. That's okay. That's not what this is. But that's not what this was about. This was about sticking it to MJ any way he could. You know what I would love, though? A podcast with Pippen and Isaiah Thomas. Like,
oh, gosh. They would do crazy numbers.
Yeah.
They would do crazy numbers.
Oh, they would get,
but you know what?
June, July radio, too.
But you know what Isaiah Thomas would never do? Call Michael Jordan a horrible basketball player. Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan have like personal beef, but you'll never hear Isaiah Thomas say something crazy like that. And everything that he says about LeBron James, believing LeBron is the best basketball player, he has valid points. He never basically makes it personal. You know, he never said, "Oh, Jordan couldn't do this. He couldn't dribble with his left hand." He never says something crazy. He's just like, "Hey, man, LeBron James, he can do X, Y, and Z. He can do this. He can do that. I think he's better." Fine. I may think like all these dudes basically are clout chasing, basically saying Jordan's name every chance they get in an interview. I may feel that way, but what Scotty is doing is just totally left. And to be perfectly honest, it's not up to Michael Jordan to tell his grown son not to date another grown woman. I mean, his son is 31 years old. His Scottie Pippen's ex-wife is like 50. What MJ look like 66 years old? Hey, son, stop dating my former teammate's ex-wife. Like, it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that.
What if they get married?
Oh, man.
And she takes the Jordan name.
Oh, Lord. She wants to. And I mean, let's be clear, man. Like, this is real basketball wives conversation right now.
Tammy Roman, though. I'm just saying.
But and I may be way off base, and I'm sure our female listeners will call in and scorn me to death. But like, if you divorce somebody, why do you still have their last name? Like, there's a reason why she still goes by the last name Pippen, because of Scottie Pippen. And there will be a reason why she would take on the Jordan name if she marries Marcus Jordan. It's clout, and that's what this is all about. And it's sad.
Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. So it's settled. LeBron's the best player of all time. Thank you, Kev. Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. You just heard it here first, folks. He was a horrible teammate. No one liked him.
Yeah, look at this. Yeah, there's a Scottie Pippen called Michael Jordan to come back out of retirement on March 10th, 1995. 8 days later, on March 18th, Jordan came back to the Chicago Bulls. And it's his famous gift out there of Scottie wearing Jordans, giving them the finger and not the middle finger to come on back. Now, yeah, definitely. You know, it is what it is, man. Scottie, it's sad, bro. I'm still rooting for you, man. I'll still root for you. You'll get it together.
Kenner and Kev, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
Horrible player.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast is calling for clear skies and 63 tonight. Sunshine 90 Wednesday. More of the same on Thursday. Sunshine and a high of 90. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Finding great people to hire can be like trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Their powerful matching technology delivers so many qualified candidates. It's like finding a needle in a needle stack. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. For less hay and more needles, head to ZipRecruiter.
And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to start getting conversational in another language? In as little as 3 weeks, Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Get a great deal on select Kubota equipment, the #1 rated tractor brand for durability and owner experience in the U.S. The versatile lineup features performance-matched attachments to help you make the most of your land. Right now at participating dealers, get a Kubota compact tractor for 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months. Now through June 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com/offers for full disclaimer.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at columbusequipment.com.
This is Keith Byers for Superbook Sports. You spend valuable time thinking about which bets to place each week. So why wouldn't you want the best company in the business to be the one who handles those bets? Superbook Sports is the most trusted name in Las Vegas, and it's now live right here in Ohio for all your sports wagering needs. Superbook has a team of dedicated odds makers behind the counter in Las Vegas setting all the prices. We're talking about guys with decades of experience showing you why Superbook has the best odds around. And right now, you can look ahead to hockey and hoops postseason and place a bet on who you think will take home the title. So download the Superbook Sports app or visit superbook.com to wager and win today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-589-9966. Call 1-800-589-9966.
Have you ever noticed that when the afternoon light hits your floors, you can see everything, including dust?
So much dust.
And that floor dust gets kicked up into the air, compromising the quality of air you and your family breathe.
Eesh.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper is the fast and easy way to clean your floors with ultra-thick pads that trap and lock dust before it gets in the air. Just a couple minutes a day,
And dust is gone.
Swiffer Heavy Duty Sweeper. Proud partner of the American Lung Association.
Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is a bacon or sausage egg croissant plus small seasoned potatoes for $3. It's the breakfast that don't miss. So if you did miss Wendy's breakfast, don't imagine fresh cracked eggs, sizzling sausage, crispy bacon, and block out those hot, buttery, flaky croissants. Croissants don't really make a sound, but if they did, for a breakfast that don't miss, Wendy's is that breakfast. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's $3 breakfast deal.
Limited time only. Participating U.S. Wendy's. Select a request $3 breakfast deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders.
Get 11% off your appliance upgrade now at Menards. We offer the lowest prices with the largest in-stock appliance selection. Ready to take home today. New appliances from Menards are meant to make your life easier. Upgrade your home with top appliance brands including KitchenAid, Maytag, Whirlpool, Amana, and Criterion. Upgrade your home with new energy-efficient appliances and save 11%. Good through June 4th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Whether you own a local business or a global one, you're always looking for ways to position your operation to create opportunities and move on them faster. With Bank of America, you get access to experts, award-winning insights, and business solutions so powerful, you'll make every move matter, locally and globally. Visit bankofamerica.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2023 Bank of America, N.A.
Breaking a sweat over summer staffing needs? Indeed's powerful hiring platform helps you easily attract, interview, and hire candidates all from one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
If you're a sports fan in the Miami Valley, make sure you subscribe to Dayton's ESPN Radio YouTube channel. Buckeyes, Browns, Bengals, local high school sports, Dayton Flyers, Wright State Raiders, and more. Search ESPN Dayton on YouTube and subscribe today.
everybody. Welcome back. Justin Kim and Kevin Nash with you here on 1410 ESPN Radio. Reds back in action tonight after Memorial Day off day. It's kind of rare to be off on Memorial Day for the Reds. The Reds are, they have a good problem right now. They have a very good problem that they're trying to sort out, Kev.
What's up?
They got too much talent, too much young talent. Now, that sounds very cocky and arrogant as a Reds fan. I'm not I know this team's not winning a World Series this year, but an article came out recently about Jonathan India, and the Reds kind of are in a pickle right now because they're about to call up Ellie De La Cruz here at any time, and they don't know what to do with Jonathan India because the future that you have Strand that they're going to be bringing up. I mean, the middle infield is just going to be absolutely stacked, and he's the odd man out because of how poor he plays defense.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just man, the fact that the talk of trading Jonathan India, who was just the leader of this team right now and just a big time fan favorite, it has everyone all uncomfortable, has everyone pretty upset and ticked off about even having this conversation. But this is such a good conversation to have. Do I think that they are going to trade Jonathan India? No, I do not. Do I think that the Reds are crazy for even considering it? No, I do not either. The bottom line is tough decisions are going to have to be made here very shortly, and these are good problems to have. Folks, they butchered the last rebuild. They didn't have enough talent to fulfill a roster. That's why they had to go get so many pieces just to become semi-competitive. And right now, they're going to bring in a guy in Ellie De La Cruz that's getting the same treatment that a lot of former stars got coming into the league, and guys like Bryce Harper. That's the guy. I mean, he's the number one prospect in baseball right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal. That is a huge deal for the Reds. Obviously, Bryce Harper didn't have to come up through this. I mean, he was a star right off the bat. But Ellie De La Cruz coming in, the big comparison is Fernando Tatis Jr. That's the type of guy that the Reds potentially have. But you could potentially have Ellie De La Cruz at third base, McClain at shortstop, India at second, Steer at first, and obviously, Encarnacion Strand, as a designated hitter. You still have, Marte that's coming up through the system and all these types of things. Legitimate dudes. And the crazy thing about this is they just brought up McClain. And in his first 12 games, he wins National League Player of the Month. He's doing some things already. These guys are being called up and making an impact right off the bat. But Matt McClain, through 12 MLB games, Kev, hitting 380, 5 doubles, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, has scored 13 runs. He is, just right there at the top, making things happen at the top of that order, along with Jonathan India and some of these other guys. The Reds they swept the Cubs at Chicago. They didn't just, sweeping the Cubs is one thing, but to do it at Wrigley and to do it in the fashion in which they did it. Kudos to the Cincinnati Reds. And I think that this Reds team is not even at the point where this isn't even the best Reds team we're going to see the rest of the year. They're 24-29. They're 4 games back. They're 5-5 in their last 10, but they've won 3 straight. That Yankees series kind of had me whatever. But I think they put that behind them very quickly. The Pirates, they're 3-7 in their last 10. They're 26-27 in second place. The Reds are going to pass the Pirates coming up here in the next week. They're going to be second place in the NL Central as we head into June. Or at least in the beginning stages of June. And by the way, the Milwaukee Brewers are 28-25. They're 4-6 in their last 10. They're not running away with this division either. The Reds have a good problem. They're speeding up the rebuild. They're speeding up the rebuild, Kev, not because of where they're at in the win column. That's actually stressing them out. It would make it easier to slow it down if they weren't winning right now. But it's a good problem to have. The guys in AAA are just all batting 300 or higher. They are dominating right now. And it's the point where why are they in AAA? We're in a race right now. They're 24-29, but they're 4 games back of the division. They're 3 games back of the wild card. We're past Memorial Day now, so as we head into June, now you can start to look at these standings and say, okay, we're cooking with fire here.
Right.
I think this is a good problem to have. It's a lot of factors that play into the role of speeding up the rebuild, but a lot of it has to do with the development of these stars and these hitters down in the AAA level. The Reds are a fun team to watch. And if you bring up Ellie De La Cruz and he picks up where he left off, just like McClain has done, and now you have Jonathan India, Tyler Stevenson, and Steer, and Fraley's been doing great, and they've done all this without their 165-year-old first baseman, Joey Votto. With all this fun stuff going on, people are worried about, well, when's Joey Votto coming back? I don't want the guy that's going to hit 210 coming back to the lineup. I want the real dudes at this point. All right. This isn't a nostalgia run for Joey Votto. I don't care about any of that stuff. This is about winning, being cutthroat, and the Reds, no more of this being a bad team with a star on it. They're going to be a good team with stars on it. And that's what I'm jacked about. But Kev, never thought I'd be excited about a team 24-29 heading into June, but that's where we're at.
Yeah, you're excited about being 24-29. I'm bummed about being 24-29. Yeah. My Guardians actually did win yesterday versus Baltimore, and this is very crucial these next two games because we had a bet going on about which team was going to have a better record by the end of May. We'll find out on Thursday because both teams tied with 24 wins and 29 losses. We have 2 against Baltimore. You have 2 against the Red Sox. We shall see who is on top at the end of the month. Yeah. Go Guardians.
We did the cap or no cap back on Cinco de Mayo at Modex. And I remember one of them was because I started looking at it. The Reds were 3 games back at the Guardians at that time. And I'm like, man, the Reds and Guardians are a lot closer in the standings than I thought. So I said cap or no cap. The Reds will finish the month of May with a better record. Not the record in the month of May, but we'll finish with a better record. And there's a good chance that happens. There's a good shot that could potentially happen. So that's where we're at. But yeah, the Reds start a series tonight with the Boston Red Sox in Boston. I wish I had the Charles Barkley soundbite.
Chowder.
The Chowder, the Green Monster, and all that fun stuff. But yeah, 3-game series tonight. So 7:10 first pitch, 6:40 coverage begins. And that's the same start time for both tonight and tomorrow night. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's the same start time for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then the Reds have Milwaukee. That Milwaukee series is huge coming up this weekend. But the Reds, you went to historic Wrigley Field, took all 3, swept the Cubs. Go do it again in Boston. Go do it again in Boston and take that momentum. Take 2 or 3, at least 2 or 3. It's not realistic to ask a team to sweep. Just don't get swept. Win the series, take that momentum into Milwaukee this coming up weekend, and the Reds have 4 with Milwaukee. That is huge. 4 with Milwaukee coming up, and that's a very big deal just because of the fact that, they also have the Cardinals coming back up around the corner, and I think that's key. And then they don't have a division opponent for a while, so it's a big, important stretch. I think that the season will ride on this next 2 weeks. I know that sounds crazy, but it does matter what your record is in the division, obviously, and the fact that they don't have, after the Cardinals series, after this series coming up with Milwaukee, after the Red Sox, they don't have a division opponent the rest of the way. You climb back up, you get to the top of the NL Central, and all of a sudden, you're cooking with fire moving forward. So we'll see what ends up happening. But this Jonathan India stuff, I'm not going to waste any energy getting upset about the talks of trading Jonathan India, because at the end of the day, these are good problems to have. It's being talked about because of the fact that there's just so much going on. So yes, it was, Ellie De La Cruz with everything going. Ken Rosenthal tweeted out yesterday that there's a fascinating situation developing in Cincinnati. Ellie De La Cruz is coming soon, potentially leaving the Reds leader Jonathan India without a clear spot.
Wow.
And that's what this article was. There's another article here from The Athletic talking about the Reds having a see Trent Rosecrans. The Reds have a problem with Jonathan India. It's a good problem, but a problem nonetheless. The Reds soon may boast too many good infielders, most notably the game's top prospect, Ellie De La Cruz, who is closing in on his major league debut. Now, Jonathan India is 26 years old. He was the 2021 National League Rookie of the Year. He's obviously kind of, returned to the way he looked that Rookie of the Year last year. A lot of injuries kind of depleted that season, but he looks like kind of, back to form a little bit. But Reds players and officials consider him the heart and soul of this team. So why are we having this conversation about potentially the Reds moving on from him? Doesn't make any dang sense. But in the stunning turn that reflects, according to C. Trent Rosecrans here, that reflects the acceleration of the Reds rebuild and a shift toward perhaps their youngest and most athletic roster ever, India also is in danger of being displaced at second base. What do you do with him? Put him in the outfield? Doesn't have a strong enough arm. Put him at third base. Now, either way, the DH is supposed to fix a lot of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine not having a DH, not having a spot to put these dudes in the order. If Jonathan India is your DH, then so be it. And again, everything is a rotation. It's not like you're never going to play 162 games. You're never going to get out in the middle of the infield. This team is fine. They'll be fine. You don't trade any of these dudes right now.
Yeah, I say keep everybody. I mean, this isn't a situation where you have to let somebody go for salary cap reasons, like we were talking about with the Cleveland Browns if they were to make the move to get D-Hop. you can keep everybody. You know, they may not play in the field. You just switch around the order. You'll be fine.
Yeah, and last thing here on De La Cruz, he's obviously getting close to this call-up, but he was recently named by ESPN as the top prospect in baseball. He's listed as the top 3. He's listed as top 3 everywhere else. But De La Cruz is making a joke of International League play right now at this point. He's 6'5". He's a switch hitter. And it's just insane watching the way he's growing. And again, all the comparisons to Fernando Tatis Jr. I think that's pretty neat, but he's 21 years old, Kev. 21 years old.
Very good, too.
Is a good problem to have. The other thing that Reds fans need to understand, when you think about all these prospects that they have, not all prospects have to play for you. Like the Yankees develop these types of prospects all the time and send them elsewhere to get game-ready talent now.
Mm-hmm.
So although I love this idea of bringing all these young pieces up together, Kevin, although it sounds cool, De La Cruz, 21, McClain in his 20s, all these guys in their lower 20s. You know what that sounds like to me? A team with no experience, struggling to win games because of their youth and immaturity. Sometimes at the end of the day, you do have to consider moving on from some of these guys to be able to go get proven talent to balance out the roster. Will we get there at some point? Probably. But, a lot of teams out there, Kev, they don't. I mean, the Dodgers do it. A lot of top prospects, they don't play for those particular teams. So although I want to see De La Cruz, he needs to stay a Red.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these other guys that were like, oh, my gosh, what are we going to do? If you don't have room for them, you do what the championship level teams do. You do what the Yankees do. Man, that's a hell of a talent. We'd love to have room for him, but we don't. So we got to trade him, and let's go get a legitimate starting pitcher.
Yeah.
Let's go get an all-star outfielder. Let's go do this. Not every young and developing piece of the system has to play for the Reds at the major league level. That's all I got to say. Like they're creating problems because we don't have room for everyone. That's a good problem to have. And if you do have excess fat, you move on from it and you bring in talent at other positions of need. I think that's how you get out of jail free for the Cincinnati Reds.
DoorDash Ray wants to chime in.
DoorDash Ray, what up, dude?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good. Man. It's been a while.
It has been a while. I'm a working man now, so I got a real job. So
what do you do now? So we can't call you DoorDash Ray. What do we call you?
No, you keep that's me. That's forever. We'll be DoorDash Ray for you guys. I'm working at a implant factory, not breast implants. I know where you're going with
breast
that.
Implant Ray. There we go. There it is. Yeah.
Not that. Not breast implants. These are shoulder, knees, and toes. You know what I'm talking about. So.
Is that what they call it now?
Yeah. Whatever, man. Hey, no. So listen, I was just listening. I haven't been able to call recently, but I'm hearing talk that they're thinking about moving Jonathan India to do exactly what you were just talking about. While he's hot, get rid of him and get some more prospects in. Bringing up Ellie De La Cruz, maybe use him as bait to get a decent pitcher. But I'm not on board with that. I think we keep him, and he's the spark right now. But are you hearing anything about that at all on your end?
Well, that's what that's the base of where this conversation started was, yes, it's leading.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're totally fine. I'm fine. What I'm saying is that you don't move on from Jonathan India because of the stars coming up, unless you can guarantee that those guys like Marte and others are coming up and they're better than him. I don't think it's him that you move on from. I think it's the guys in the minor. I think it's the prospects that have Jonathan India is already coming up and proven he could play at this level. Does he have deficiencies defensively? Yes, he does. But there's not going to be a lot of perfect players out there. There's going to be deficiencies with every talent that comes out. But the thing that you cannot, that you can't coach, that you can't teach, that you can't develop is leadership. Jonathan India has that leadership. And unless those guys beneath him all have that quality, and I'm not saying that they don't, Jonathan India, his most important trait is the fact that he is a leader and he's a young leader. And that's why I think he is unmovable. You move on from some of the younger pieces beneath him. I don't think you move on from Jonathan India. That's just my take.
Oh, you're spot on, man. I totally agree with that. I just, you know how the Reds are. Every time somebody gets well or gets good and they're doing great, we have some sort of a dumb reason to get rid of them. But you are spot on when it comes to the leadership and where he's at now defensively and offensively for that matter. But I just hope they hang on to him, bring up Ellie De La Cruz. McClain's tearing it up like we knew he would. Even though the Cowboys said he just because he had a couple good months doesn't mean he's worthy of bringing up, and he was wrong on that. So, but anyway, hey, love you guys, man. I just haven't talked to you in a while, and just want to give 2 cents in. So I'll keep listening to you. I love you guys. Talk to you later.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, man. But yeah, he's DoorDash Ray. The other one will get me in trouble. Implant Ray. He's like, yeah. All right, Kenner and Cav here, 1410 ESPN Radio. So the Lakers got swept by Denver.
Yes, sir.
And it looked like we were going to get 2 sweeps in the Eastern and Western Conference, and then we ended up getting a Game 7 to kind of extend it. So now we get a couple-day break, and then the finals are here. Heat Nuggets, but that game wrapped up. That series wrapped up last night out of the Eastern Conference, so we could look ahead to that nonetheless. But appreciate the time for the Reds talk. We'll get to more of that coming up. But Scott Campbell says he brings up a good point on YouTube, Kev. India and McClain can switch between DH and second base. Trading him now is foolish. I think trading him at all is foolish from that perspective. But for the immediate fix, Scott, I agree 100%. He says that Jonathan India is our Derek Jeter. Well, be careful throwing out the Derek Jeter, but yes, Jonathan India. But to his point, everything you hear about, like, there's a lot of good players on this roster. There's only one that people drool over, and that's Jonathan India from what he means to the locker room. Like,
okay.
And David Bell talks about that too all the time, about his leadership skills. Like, that's what, if this team is going to remain super young moving forward, you need someone like him to kind of balance it out. You know, in the NBA, we talk about the immaturity of young players all the time, like John Morant and some of the issues he's going through. They don't have that veteran on that team to kind of keep him balanced, to keep him level-headed. Like Chuck talks about it all the time on the TNT and all that type of stuff. Who's going to be that guy for the Reds? Joey Votto? I don't think so. Not at this point. He's about one more year, if that. So at the end of the day, Jonathan India, he has to stay nonetheless. Chad Kinser says you don't move on from India. Either move him to short or have Cruz play short. But guys, that like the thing we're forgetting. The championship level teams, and the Reds are not the Yankees, but what the Yankees do is they develop these top prospects, and if they don't have room for them to call them up and play them, they move them. And that's what the Reds can do. You don't have to actually move forward with Marte. You don't actually have to move forward with obviously Ed Carnosio Strand. And I'm not saying I don't want them here. And what you get needs to be a guy like an all-star. That's when you go look at rosters that are about to start a rebuild. And instead of the Reds rebuilding and sending their all-stars away or top prospects away, now, or their stars away, now you use your top prospects to bring in stars. Stop trading your top stars away, bring top stars in. That's what the Reds can do with these minor league players. They don't have to bring every one of them up. And as far as I'm concerned, as much as I love Hunter Green and Graham Ashcraft, and I like what we're seeing in the rotation, the Reds don't have an ace. Hunter Green's supposed to be the ace. Nick Lodolo, we're hoping, could be that 1A, 1B ace situation. But until the Reds have 2 to 3 guaranteed dogs in that rotation, I don't care how good the lineup is. That's going to be a concern moving forward, but that'll be a concern for later. But yes, I agree with all of you. At the end of the day, I think we all agree. India, you don't move on from Jonathan India. You find other ways around it. You find a way to make it work. I think it'd be a knee-jerk reaction if you're the Reds to not find a way to keep him around. That's for sure. Kenner and Cap, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Want to feed your family without breaking the bank? Take a trip to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 16-piece family meal at a great price. With 16 pieces of our classic honey-dipped, hand-breaded Famous Recipe Chicken, 4 craveable large sides, and 8 fluffy biscuits. It's affordable eats done right. Treat your crowd to the best for less with the Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 16-piece family meal. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
I'm Faith Daniels, and we have the pleasure to chat with Blake Maislin, Mr. 444-4444. When accidents happen, who do we call?
Well, you call me. You call 444-4444, and you let us get started immediately.
That means a dog bite, a slip and fall, a car accident. Blake Maislin is the call to make.
That's exactly right. We'll come to your house. We'll go to the hospital room. But whatever we can do to help, that's exactly what we do starting on day one.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Blake Maislin, 444-4444, wantmore.com.
Summit Industrial Flooring and Marine says, don't be afraid to discuss problems concerning drug abuse with your children. Help stamp out this growing problem through education. This message sponsored by Summit Industrial Flooring, where they specialize in concrete polishing, industrial floor coatings, epoxy flooring, seamless floor systems, and concrete restoration. Call 937-534-1534. That's 937-534-1534 for Summit Industrial Flooring. On the air because they care about a drug-free future for our children and community.
MiamiValleyRoads.org is the source for details on major road construction projects in our region, including commute solutions to save time, money, and stress. Try carpooling, biking, or taking transit when possible. Adjust your schedule or find an alternate route around construction to reduce traffic congestion and air pollution. ODOT and MVRPC are working to continue shaping the region's future together. Visit MiamiValleyRoads.org for a list of projects from ODOT and resources to improve your commute, or call 937-223-SAVE.
Make sure that your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, William Brockman & Sons Heating and Air Conditioning. They're offering special saving opportunities on a new Lennox system. So call them today at 937-222-8638 or visit online at DaytonHeatingandCooling.com to learn more. Dealer license number, Ohio license number 14911.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Soccer fans, stand up. Your Dayton Dutch Lions FC are ready to take the field at DOC Stadium in West Carrollton. Bring all your family and friends to experience great soccer in our own backyard with 10 home games starting May 31st. This season promises non-stop excitement, so grab your jerseys and head over to ddlfc.com to secure your tickets and very affordable season passes now. Don't miss out on the action. Visit ddlfc.com for updates, schedules, and exclusive offers. Be there and let's roar together.
Come shop Memorial Day deals now at Lowe's. Refresh your home for the summer with savings across the store, like grills, appliances, and more. Lowe's knows home improvement.
The Keith Byers Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Hang out with College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers every Monday at noon on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER. And ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
Everybody, welcome back. Justin Kinner, Kevin Nash with you here, 1410 ESPN Radio. Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals are officially a wrap. So the NBA Finals, if I'd have told you back, let's say, I guess last July, that next year would be the Heat and the Denver Nuggets, would you have said, yeah, I could see that?
No, I could see the Nuggets, but not the Heat. Not the Heat. You couldn't tell me anything in the world that the Bucks or the Celtics weren't coming out the East. I am totally blown away that the Miami Heat got off the mat from that epic game 6 where the Celtics won on a tip shot from Derek White. I mean, you got to give Coach Spo and that coaching staff a ton of credit for them not only to go into Boston and win that game 7, but like they jumped on Boston off the rip. It wasn't like, oh man, Boston does their typical thing where they get up and then let another team come back. Like Miami controlled it from the jump in game 7. So that's credit to Coach Spo and the players for going in there to get it done in game 7 on the road.
Yeah, that's a good point too. And everyone said, "Oh man, the second that Tatum got hurt, that's what dictated the outcome of that." No,
they were already losing.
It may have been a factor in their inability to get going, but let's be clear. You're the Boston Celtics. You were a finals team last year. You're back in the Eastern Conference Finals. You're going up against an 8 seed. I'm not saying that the expectation is to win without Tatum, but you know what should not have happened is getting blown out. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, especially when you look at the Miami Heat and where they're at, considering everything that they've overcome, the fact that they are right there going to the finals. No Tyler Hero, now Tyler Hero and Tatum are not the same thing, so I completely get that. But, like, and this really isn't a shot at Tatum. Tatum going down, Kevin, fighting through it and playing still. I don't have an issue. I get why his numbers weren't inflated. But Jaylen Brown and all the other guys, like, what if you are a championship caliber team, someone else steps up. That's why Miami Heat are a championship caliber team. When one guy's not feeling it, someone else steps up. There's always that guy stepping up. It's that championship mentality. Boston doesn't have it. They're too inconsistent. And that's been the biggest flaw with them. I mean, they have been a regular contender out of the East for going on more than half a decade at this point with this group, as young as they are. And they keep recycling through coaches. And we all know what happened last year, you know, that really coming, I guess, last September or whatever it was, heading into this or whatever. But the bottom line is the Celtics, I mean, how disappointing of a lot. I mean, their season, where do you rate that? 0 to 10. How disappointing is the season for Boston?
And this is why context matters, because if you would have said going into the season that they lost game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, be a disappointment, but like, all right, you would expect that loss to be to Milwaukee, maybe Philadelphia with Embiid as the MVP and everything like that. If you were to tell somebody not only are they going to lose to the 8 seed on their home court, but be down 0-3 and then be on the verge of a historical comeback and then win 3 in a row after a crazy last second victory in game 6. I mean, you have to go with this being a complete failure type of season because of how it played out. And I'll give Jaylen Brown a ton of credit for this. I like Jaylen Brown. I think he's a very good player. I don't think he's a superstar player. He's got to tighten up that handle, for goodness sakes, man. You're a shooting guard in the NBA, and you have one of the loosest handles, and that's one of their downfalls, what happened with them in Golden State in the finals last year with all those turnovers. But he said the season was a complete failure. I failed. We failed as a team, unlike Giannis that tried to say that, oh, no, losing isn't a failure. Losing is just a part of the process. I'll give him credit for that. He recognizes that this was a failure of a season. So I'll give him credit for that. But that's the only thing I'll give him credit for, because that was a debacle last night. And the credit goes to Miami Heat, man. It goes to Bam. It goes to Jimmy. And it goes to everybody on that team. Like, we talk about the guys that they're missing and Oladipo and Hero and other dudes step up. Strus stepped up. The name is drawing a blank on me right now. But just guys just continue to step up and hit threes on them left and right. And it's amazing that they were actually able to win that game, to be perfectly honest. I knew they would come in there and compete. I kind of thought it would be the inverse. Like, I don't think that the Celtics didn't compete in the game. I just think they just didn't win and they just weren't good enough. I thought that would be the Miami Heat. I would think they would come out and try and give their best effort, but the more talented team being the Celtics would ultimately win and win big, but that didn't happen, man.
And then just continuing to jack up the threes when no shots are falling. But look, that's the thing, though. This is what, so I heard Shaq and them getting on the Celtics last night about that. When the shots aren't falling, you stop. But that's who these teams are now, though. That's the problem. All these teams live and die by the three. I don't know all, but like,
but you see, that's the thing about it. Like, they weren't, well, at least Tatum and Brown weren't doing that in game 6. Like, they were attacking the rim. Now, we talked about with Tatum with the rolled ankle, and that probably hampered his ability to go to the rim. But like, they just kept jacking them up. It kind of, you to be perfectly honest, Miami threw that zone defense on them, and it looked like something I've seen before. It looked like Syracuse playing zone defense. You're just going to keep on shooting threes? We just going to let you, because you're not making any of them. And I've seen that story happen a million times being a Syracuse basketball fan. I've seen them beat teams that they probably weren't better than, but those teams just, hey, we're just going to keep shooting threes because you're, quote unquote, giving it to us. You're giving it to them for a reason, because you can't make them.
That's and that's the reality of it. Now, everyone, moving forward, everyone freaking out about what to do with Jaylen Brown and Tatum. Look, the Lakers proved everyone, because I get caught up in this too. Well, the way to build a championship team is you got to get big stars to come in. Every year, the NBA offseason's headlined by these big moves. And every year, look, Denver didn't do any major moves. They made moves, no major moves. Boston didn't do any major moves. All right. The Heat didn't do any major. They added Lowry, but they didn't do any major moves. Like Lowry's that's a solid addition. But look at all the noisy teams. Where are they right now? They're with me and you watching.
Right.
And the Lakers, we kept saying, well, there's no move that the Lakers can make. No, there's no noisy move that the Lakers can make. At the deadline, they made a lot of weird moves. I came into Kev, hey, Kev, that Hachimura guy, they good? Yep. All right, cool. And they turned they're an NBA contender. They're a title contending team. They're not the favorites. A lot has to go right. But this idea that, man, what do you do when those two are your stars? It's all about making the less noisy moves. Less noisy moves, the better. That's what you got to do. This idea that every offseason you got to go swing for the fences in the NBA, I get it. But when you already have your two stars,
right?
I don't know. But I learned. I thought with LeBron and AD, they had to blow that up. They don't have to blow that up. You just got to make the right moves.
Yep.
With the quiet guys, the mid-tier guys. That's the Celtics' next move. You got to move on from Marcus Smart. You got to move on from guys like that in trades, or just moving on and just. You got to repiece those together. You don't repiece the stars. I mean, you build around the stars and just let that keep going. Unless you're a horrible teammate like Michael Jordan, a horrible player.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. You don't move off from Jaylen Brown. You have a star player in him and in Tatum. The biggest thing for Jaylen Brown, man, you gotta tighten up that handle, man. You have to tighten up that handle. And this is on them. This loss is on them. I know everybody wants to make a big deal about Mazzulla and him being a rookie head coach and everything like that. This isn't his fault necessarily. I know since he's the head coach, he should get the blame and everything like that, but he's the fourth option on that situation. And Dooku decided to get frisky with employees, gets basically fired. Stoudemire takes the head coaching job at Georgia Tech. Their second assistant gets the head coaching job with the Utah Jazz. So boom, he's just moving up the ladder, and then boom, oh, you're the head guy now. Wait, what? I was talking to you about this before we jumped on the air today. You look at the bench of an NBA team. You see head coach, assistant coach, and then you see players, and then you see like this row of staffers behind them. That's where Joe Mazzulla sat last year, behind the bench. So he wasn't even a guy that they were going to for advice or drawing up plays. Like, hey, he was an analyst basically. And then you throw him into this situation. He'll learn, he'll grow. But the guys that had the experience, Brown and Tatum, the guys that played in the NBA Finals, the guys that played in multiple conference championship games, they didn't pick him up. They were supposed to pick him up in this situation and help him get across the finish line. And they didn't do that. So the new salary cap is coming to the NBA. A lot of guys, like, oh, man, yeah, Grant Williams, he would love to stay with the Boston Celtics. Not going to be able to afford him. Derek White, not going to be able to afford him. You're going to have to find the new Grant Williams. You're going to have to find the new Derek White, because those dudes are going to command dollars that y'all not going to be able to afford, because you're going to have to pay Brown and Tatum those dollars. So when you and I were talking about this whole Reeves situation, the Lakers will probably be able to afford Reeves or Hachimura. They're probably not going to be able to afford both of them. So you got your two. You have to fill out the rest of your roster with quote unquote others.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of John Mazzulla. I'm not like, by the way, here's the thing. Maybe, and see, this is why it's always dangerous taking a job if you're not ready, because it could dictate
the rest of your
perception
career,
of you moving forward. And it wasn't his fault that it was the domino thing where it fell to him. But I blame the Celtics too. You also didn't need to name him the head coach. You could have put interim in front of it too.
Mikey style.
That releases the expectations a little bit. Now we still will do this whole, well, he's a guy that took him to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, so is that not deserving of being the head coach moving forward? But I mean, let's not forget when they were down 0-3, got to give him credit for getting the troops rallied to come back and be down 0-3. I mean, they were very close to doing what no team has ever done in the history of the game, and that's come back 0-3 in the playoffs. So they were that close. Got to give him credit there. But you also got to ask, how the hell did you fall down 3-0 to begin with? Like,
true.
There's a lot of those moving parts. I'm not really calling for him to be fired because that's all the NBA does at this point. But I hate the way he carries himself in interviews. And this isn't the Pop thing of the short answers and stuff. It's the clueless answers too, or at least it appears that way. When Pop does his stuff, it feels like he's just irritated and trying to manipulate the Mazzulla last night. Every question, no, yes. 1-word response, 2-word response. Then when he was down 0-3, he had no excuse. He had no like reason, no understanding. Now, does he owe us that? No. But like that's where like if I'm a Celtics fan, I don't have faith in that. If my team, if Ryan Day, if Ohio State starts out 0-3, and we say, Ryan Day, what's wrong? Well, I don't really know. I have zero faith in my coach if he says I don't really know what's wrong. So that's what I mean by the Joe Mazzulla thing as far as that goes. But at the same time, where are you gonna go? Who are you gonna hire?
Where you gonna go?
Who are you gonna hire? Doc Rivers. Do you unite? I mean, he won Boston their last championship. Do you go back to? I like Monty. I don't think that guy should be looking for a job right now. Anyways, that's what's ridiculous to me. But that's kind of where we're at with that. Like, so Mazzulla though, not a problem though. You're fine with Mazzulla.
I don't have a problem with it simply because I look at it as this is a player's fault type of situation. And yes, you're right. Like he needs to tighten up these post game interviews and these sideline interviews and everything like that. You don't have enough cachet to pull the Popovich, 1-word answers. Like you do owe it to, what I'm saying, the fan base to give more than what you're giving and everything like that. If you are going to make a change, Snyder from the Atlanta Hawks, I know he just took the job with the Atlanta Hawks, but this won't be the first time that a coach is taking a job and then bolted to go to another team. So I would go after him. I would go after him. Like, look at the things that he was able to do with the Utah Jazz, with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. He was able to get the Atlanta Hawks off the mat, and they actually run offense down there with the Hawks now. So, and that was like kind of the Celtics problem. They really don't run an offense. It's like, all right, clear it out for Brown on this side or clear it out for Tatum on this side. And then, oh, yeah, Marcus Smart, you get the ball with 1 second on the clock, jack up a three. Like when they were actually running offense in game 6, like posting up Marcus Smart on a smaller guard. He's a big, strong guard. He's not tall, but he's a big, strong guy. So they like ran ISOs and post-up plays for him. So like they were actually running offense. Game 7, they were running nothing. Like it was almost like they didn't know how to run offense versus zone, which professional basketball players should be able to do, or a professional head coach.
It's like watching the Cavs.
It was bad. It was very bad. So I would try to run a Snyder out there in Atlanta to try to grab him, take him. Like he runs great set plays, great offensive plays. Pay him whatever. Get him. Because if you don't think that Mazzulla is the guy, then you probably need to make that switch now, because the best available coach, Nick Nurse, is gone to Philly.
Off the board. Jake Whiting. What up, Jake? He was Eric Spoelstra. He says Eric Soils T is the best coach in the league under Pop. That spell check got the best one. Eric Soils T. But
Spoelstra, man. The man.
Eric Spoelstra is the best coach in the league under Pop. And by the way, there's a lot of really good X's and O's coach in the NBA. And I wasn't sold on Spo at the beginning. And I was talking about this with a friend last night. I hate it. When I grew up, the coaches were as big as stars as the players. The Pat Rileys, even Jerry Sloan, like the Jerry Sloan.
Jerry Sloan.
Like those, like all these coaches were as big as stars as the players. I mean, it was coach versus coach. I mean, it was like, you know what I mean? Like, and when you got to that 2010 era, and it was just drop a coach in and watch it go.
Right.
I didn't like that. I hated that. I hated that. And that was Eric Spoelstra with the Miami Heat. And then it was Ty Lue with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Hell, David Blatt in his first year took the Cavs to the championship. Steve Kerr wins a championship in his first season as a head coach, right? Like, so it's gotten to the point where coaching in the NBA, that's not a good look for coaching in the NBA, that you could just take anyone that's never coached the NBA before, just drop them in a system and off they go. But now, all these years later, it's 6 NBA Finals appearances for Spoelstra, looking to win his 3rd NBA championship. And he's gotten there twice post LeBron. Ty Lue hasn't got back post LeBron. David Blatt hasn't got back to the league since then. So, got to give Spoelstra a lot of credit. That yes, I think that's kind of where we're at with that. But is he the best coach of the? I still got to put Pop there.
Yeah, I would put Pop up there because Pop has got to go ahead and get the new kid and watch. In about 2 years, the Spurs are going to be a force to be reckoned with.
And then he'll hand it off to Becky Hammond.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I know she's in WNBA right now, but I could see that happening where he's like, all right, I'm ready to bounce, but I want to leave Wembanyama and this star team to her, and she comes back and all that. That's where I agree. I don't know if that's what you were saying.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you could definitely see it, a lineup situation for her, or even Tim Duncan, because he's on that coaching staff. But Spo, like, it was an Eminem. It was a mismatch coaching wise, but You can have a great head coach like a Spo and a rookie head coach doing rookie things, but your players should pick you up and carry you across the finish line at some point. It can't be always the X's and O's guys and the motivational speeches every single time. Like, you as a player have to get your guys through the finish line, and Brown and Tatum did not deliver. They did not deliver in, I want to say, game 1 at home where you got a double-digit lead. No, it was game 2. Game 2 at home, you were up double digits with 4 minutes to go. You lost that game. You almost lost this game 6 where you were up 12 points with 4 minutes to go. And then Jimmy Butler, who's having a horrible game, he only made 2 field goals going into the fourth quarter. The last 4 minutes of the game, he scores 15 points. My God, what are you doing?
Yeah, like someone sent in too. So about I can't even name any outside of Spo and can't even read some of these. Outside of Spo and Pop, I can't name you any head coaches in the NBA anymore. Well, there's notable names in there, but yeah, I just know for me, Don Nelson was a character. Larry Brown was a character. Phil Jackson, Pat Riley. Like, when you got those matchups in the finals, Don Nelson against Pat Riley in the fight when you had that Heat in Mavericks team, like those were but the game's different now. It's significantly younger and all that type of stuff. But like, if you notice, the younger teams embrace coaching more.
Yes.
As the stars get developed, they don't want that coaching as much. But sometimes, and they were talking about this on the post game last night, coaches aren't hired for the stars. They're hired for the role players. They're hired for the rest of the guys. But it's up to the star to accept the coaching.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say that I'm anti-LeBron on is the one thing I'll give Michael. There's Michael freaking Jordan. He didn't need Phil Jackson telling him to run some stupid triangle offense that he drew up on a chalkboard. And you want me to buy into that? I'm Michael freaking Jordan. No, he believed in the coaching. He bought into the coaching, and he allowed the coaching to happen. Did he get coached the same way as some of the role players? No, but he allowed it to happen. LeBron could have allowed. If LeBron wanted Pat Riley to come down to coach that team, Kev, he could have done it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Eric Spoelstra now has the respect of everyone. But at the time, LeBron, you're LeBron James. Tell Pat Riley, we're giving you Chris Bosh and D Wade. You come down here and coach us, and we're not like I'm telling you right now, in my opinion, they don't lose a finals if Pat Riley's their head coach in the early going. Spoelstra's great now. I have no issue with it. But at the beginning, you can't tell me that a coach that knows what he's doing versus a coach that's learning what he's doing would not have benefited them a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
But the stars didn't want it. They got to dictate that. And that's the thing now is, but that's why Eric Spoelstra works. This Miami Heat team's not the most talented by any means, but they're accepting the coaching. Got to give Spoelstra credit for that.
Big shout out to Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin was out of the NBA. Caleb Martin was on his way to be playing across the pond, and he latched on with the Miami Heat, and now he's headed to the NBA Finals. And I don't think he missed a shot. Doesn't seem he has a very awkward looking shot. It's kind of like a hitch in it, but it goes in, and that's the only thing that matters.
All right, Cincinnati Reds tonight. Reds, Red Sox, Fenway. And you'll have the winning National League Player of the Week and Matt McClain in the lineup tonight. So that'll be pretty cool. Reds baseball coming up later on, coming off of a sweep over the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley. Off day yesterday, looking to pick up some momentum coming up here tonight. Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns and potentially landing DeAndre Hopkins. We'll be right back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Diabetes